Yeah. Let's break that into two parts, because sort of one part is in typically enterprise settings, I always think about identity as the third leg of the stool between security, privacy, and identity. We three peers really serve a powerful purpose inside of enterprise. And the relationship between privacy and identity is that identity is actually the way that privacy can express the controls about access to data, whether that's human resources data or customer data or what have you. But this is how a privacy team gets to express controls, and identity can actually operationalize those for them. So there's a natural affinity between the two. And then as we start to expand from, say, purely inside the walls of the enterprise to our trading partners, to our citizens, our customers, our students, now identity practitioners are really the custodian of identity information provided by those individuals. So whether it is, and so now privacy practitioners sitting alongside of identity practitioners saying, this kind of information we need to protect in these kinds of ways because it represents something else. It's not just a street address. And I think that's one of the most interesting things about being sort of a privacy aware identity practitioner is the moments where you look at a piece of data that the business, let's say, has asked you to collect and say, what else is this? What else could this represent? And how do we want to manage it? How do we need to protect it that is rooted in dignity for the data subject, right? What's the best way to treat this information, both from their perspective and from the business or the organization's perspective? So I think there's some really interesting opportunities there. But the other question is you sort of hinted at it, is increasingly there is a tendency where people are saying, hey, cool, now because we can do this, show me a government issued document and take a selfie in order to use my service. And in fact, maybe that's the way you recover your password. Well, that's interesting. Or maybe that's the way that you always identify yourself to the service. That's not so interesting. Or that's thorny, let's say. This is something that my good friend and colleague Andy Hindle talks about as verification or proofing creep. Essentially, we're using the combination of document presentation and sort of liveness presentation, a biometric, facial biometric typically, as the key, the credential to accessing services.